Just days after GloRilla was charged on marijuana charges, JT dropped a video so fiery and targeted that fans instantly clocked it as shade.
And y'all always talking about the city girls. Like, the city girls ain't give y'all raggedy ass y'all personality. Don't play with me. Sick of y'all.
This one clip just took their silent beef and turned it into open war. We have all the gist, let's break it all down. The streets don't forget when keeping it real goes wrong. The whole hip-hop community was still trying to process the wild news about GloRilla getting locked up when JT decided it was time to let her nuts hang. For those who've been sleeping, your girl Glo got hemmed up in Forsyth County, Georgia on some serious felony drug charges after her crib got ran up on while she was out of town, blessing the WNBA All-Star game with her presence.
So GloRilla was arrested in Georgia on felony drug charges and was booked Tuesday in Forsyth County, Georgia. She posted a $22,000 bond. What they didn't know was that she had family staying with her, and her family, they were traumatized.
The streets were heated, and rightfully so. Even Glo herself had to hop on X and speak her piece. My house got invaded on Saturday while I was in Indianapolis performing for the WNBA All-Star game. And instead of focusing on finding the suspects, they focused on some cannabis. But then JT said bet and decided to move different. Without no warning shots or nothing, this broad really hopped on a live stream looking bent as hell, dropping what the culture is calling some indirect but deadly smoke aimed straight at GloRilla's dome.
And y'all always talking about the city girls. Like, the city girls ain't give y'all raggedy y'all personality. Don't play with me.
Now she ain't dropped Glo's government name or nothing, but anybody with half a brain cell knew exactly who she was getting at. The ops recognized the energy immediately. This wasn't no random drunk girl rambling neither. This was calculated, cold-blooded retaliation served up on a silver platter. See, just a couple weeks back, these two had got down for real at the MTV VMAs. We talking about a full-blown altercation that had security scrambling to pull them apart after Glo allegedly sent a purse, or maybe it was a drink, flying at JT's head.
JT snubbed her off, like in a very nasty, catty way. GloRilla went in to try to speak, and JT kind of gave like, you know, GloRilla wasn't feeling that. And like, you know, GloRilla threw a drink at JT, and then the girls had kind of separated.
But check this out though. JT's funky attitude wasn't just some random hater shit. Word on the street is that her whole vibe was salty from something that went down at Beyonce's concert just a week before the VMAs. Both of these chicks were in the building that night. But according to the T-Spillers, JT and Young Miami tried to slide into Yo Gotti's VIP section where Glo was already posted up and ended up getting walked out by security like some regular groupies. That embarrassing moment really had JT in her feelings, no cap. So when the VMAs rolled around, homegirl saw her chance to get some get back and decided to play Glo to the left in front of the whole industry. But here's where things got real spicy. Glo wasn't about to take that disrespect laying down. According to multiple people who peeped the situation, baby girl really let her hands do the talking after she sent that projectile at JT, turning the whole backstage area into a straight up war zone. These two girls don't like each other anymore. They got into it a week after that Beyonce concert, and then at the VMAs, they were tussle fighting backstage. Fast forward to now, with Glo going through it with these charges, and JT really couldn't help herself. She had to twist that knife just a little deeper. What's really twisted about this whole situation is how JT flipped the script and tried to make herself look like the victim, even though she's the one who started all this drama in the first place. Just peep how she was moving in that live stream, throwing shade through passive-aggressive superiority complex vibes. Then she kept going, talking about loyalty, backstabbing friends, and people messing with her property, and everybody in the comments immediately connected the dots back to her beef with Glo. The timing was absolutely diabolical, no lie. JT dropped that whole rant just hours after the blogs confirmed that Glo had caught them felony charges. This wasn't no coincidence. Shorty knew exactly what she was doing. She saw them headlines, peeped that Glo was trending for all the wrong reasons, and said, "This my moment right here." But yo, what makes this whole situation even more twisted and complex is the real history between these two that's been kept on the low from the general public. The truth is, their beef didn't jump off at the VMAs or even at Queen B's concert. This mess goes way deeper, with roots in industry politics, personal betrayals, and some alleged street that would make even the most seasoned veterans in the game uncomfortable as hell.
And I was prepping the other day, and I couldn't even prep for this show because I was reading about you on Twitter. And I was like, everybody was blowing on my phone. Did you see what's going on Twitter? So tell me, why did you feel the need to pop up on JT so hard?
Everything just always everything. At the end of the day, that they gonna in.
Yeah, hello. and it's all the truth though.
The real drama actually started back in September 2022 when GloRilla's collab with Cardi B on Tomorrow 2 became a straight up monster hit. What most people don't realize is that this success allegedly created some serious tension with JT because people were saying Cardi's verse had some slick shots aimed at JT and the City Girls. The fact that JT been riding with Nicki Minaj, who'd been beefing with Cardi for years, just threw more gasoline on an already lit fire.
You enter with the purse.
Everything is everything.
Listen,
the
and then I
end
got to
of the
talk
day,
to you
they
about
got
Megan Thee
in.
Stallion and the new track. So tell me all about working with her on such a great song.
I love Megan. She's a wonderful person. She's so fun. That's my girl. You know what I'm saying? And I taught her how to twerk.
Oh, no, for real?
Yeah, I taught her
you taught that how to twerk.
I taught her how to twerk. Yeah.
Oh man, that's amazing.
It might seem crazy, but it's true.
What started as professional competition quickly turned into something way more personal and vindictive. Industry insiders started noticing subliminal shots and coded messages in both artists' social media posts, interviews, and even their music. The hip-hop community, always hungry for drama, started picking sides and amplifying every little slight, creating an echo chamber that made peace damn near impossible. But yo, before we dive deeper into this mess, let's keep it a buck about where Glo really came from, because her background explains a lot about why she moves the way she does and why this beef hit different than your typical industry drama. From the bottom to the top, how the hood made a monster. To understand why this whole situation got so messy, you gotta know where GloRilla really came from and how the streets shaped her into the savage she is today. Born Gloria Hallelujah Woods on July 28, 1999 in Memphis, Tennessee, Shorty came up in the Fraser neighborhood of North Memphis. And if you know anything about that area, you know it ain't for the weak-hearted. Fraser used to be a decent middle-class spot back in the day, but by the time Glo was coming up, that whole area had been hit hard by economic struggles and all the problems that come with it. As the 8th of 10 children in a big blended family, Gloria's early life was all about survival mode. They were sleeping on pallets instead of real beds, and poverty was just a fact of life that shaped everything about how she moved. But here's the crazy part about Glo's story. She was raised in one of the strictest religious households you could imagine, homeschooled until 5th grade to keep her away from outside influences. Her parents had rules that were straight up militant. No secular music, no Christmas, no Valentine's Day, no Easter, no Halloween. They could only celebrate 4th of July and Thanksgiving. Gospel artists like Kirk Franklin and Donnie McClurkin stayed on repeat in that house, and Glo was singing solos in the church choir from age 5 to 12, dreaming about becoming the next gospel superstar. But you know how it goes. The more you try to keep somebody away from something, the more they want it. The religious restrictions actually turned into the foundation for Glo's first hustle activities as her and her siblings started scheming to get their hands on that forbidden secular music. This is where things get real hood real quick. These kids started boosting CDs from Walmart, specifically targeting Lil Wayne and Drake albums so they could download the songs onto a PlayStation for secret listening sessions. Her older brothers even turned it into a little side hustle, selling the stolen CDs at school. Before she blew up, Glo was grinding at regular jobs like the drive-thru at Checkers and Walmart, staying entertained by going live on social media during her shifts. She quit these jobs around 2018 to 2019 to focus completely on music, dropping her first freestyle on Facebook and hitting up studios with family encouragement. The grind finally paid off in 2022 when everything changed. In April, Glo dropped FNF Let's Go with producer Hit Kit, a straight-up anthem about single life and female empowerment that was created in just 30 minutes. The track absolutely exploded on TikTok through the #FNFC challenge, with users recreating its energy and pushing it into the top 50 of the Billboard Hot 100. That viral moment caught Yo Gotti's attention, and he signed her to his collective music group, CMG label, in July 2022, making her the first female artist on the roster. FNF even earned a Grammy nomination for Best Rap Performance at the 65th Annual Grammy Awards in 2023. Talk about going from 0 to 100 real quick, but it was her collaboration with Cardi B that really set off this whole chain of events with JT. GloRilla's Tomorrow, 2 featuring Cardi B, became her first top 10 hit and went double platinum. The success was intoxicating, but it came with consequences that would haunt her for years. Now here's where the real drama started brewing in the background. What began as professional competition quickly turned into something way more personal and nasty. Industry people started noticing subtle shots and coded references in both artists' social media, interviews, and music. The hip-hop community, always thirsty for drama, started picking sides and amplifying every perceived slight, creating a toxic environment where reconciliation became impossible. The tension that had been simmering under the surface finally exploded in the most public way possible. Things reached a breaking point in April 2024 when GloRilla dropped her mixtape A Thang with a track called 8 that directly addressed the growing beef. On this track, Glo rapped, "Me and JT ain't the best of friends, but we ain't beefing. No is always having Anna that they keep a secret." What Glo thought was her extending an olive branch and promoting unity among female rappers, JT took as the ultimate slap in the face and manipulation tactic. JT's response was immediate and absolutely ruthless, hopping on social media with a series of posts that showed just how deep her anger ran and how personal this conflict had become. She called Glo messy and phony and exposed that there had been behind-the-scenes drama during collaborative projects. In what might be the most dramatic escalation ever, JT posted a series of her past mugshots with an empty slot, basically threatening to add another one by physically confronting Glo. Glo fired fired right back with equal energy, calling JT's wigs ugly and accusing her of the same secret animosity that JT had called her out for. She confirmed she had hit JT with a purse at the VMAs, not a slap like people were saying, and threatened to pull up at one of JT's backyard BBQ shows. The online war went on for hours, with both women trading increasingly personal insults about everything from their looks to their career moves. Fans made it worse by pitting their fan bases against each other, Glo's Big Glow supporters versus JT's Juvies, in a social media battle that seemed like it would never end. By November 2024, both parties seemed to reach a public truce. In an interview, Glo said, "I didn't come in wanting to get into beef with anybody, but me and JT actually cool." She blamed fans for fueling the drama, saying she never wanted the conflict. JT seemed to agree, and both artists said they were good. The hip-hop world thought the beef was finally squashed, but underneath all that public peacemaking, the resentment was still bubbling like lava waiting to erupt. The peace was fake as hell, built on PR needs rather than real forgiveness. And when Glo found herself in handcuffs in July 2025, that carefully constructed facade was about to crumble in the most spectacular way possible. What the public didn't know was that even more disturbing allegations were about to surface. Allegations that would show the true depth of hatred between these two women and expose a web of betrayal, conspiracy, and revenge that would make their public feuding look like child's play. But first, let's talk about what really went down that led to Glo's arrest, because the story is way more complex and messed up than what hit the headlines. The ultimate violation, when your ops strike at your lowest moment. Summer 2025 was supposed to be GloRilla's victory lap, but instead it became the backdrop for one of the most savage betrayals in hip-hop history. July 19th, 2025 should have been just another triumphant night when Glo blessed the WNBA All-Star Game halftime show in Indianapolis. But while she was up there doing her thing, some grimy individuals were running up in her Georgia crib, setting off a chain of events that would have her fighting for her freedom. Around 1:30 a.m. on July 20th, 2025, Forsyth County Sheriff's deputies got the call about a burglary in progress at Glo's spot in the upscale St. Marlowe Country Club neighborhood in Metro Atlanta. 3 suspects had broken into the house trying to come up on high-value items like jewelry, while family members staying at the property got traumatized by the whole violent situation. Somebody inside the house was strapped and let off shots at the intruders, who bounced without getting hit. Now here's where things got real twisted and showed how messed up the system can be. During the investigation, deputies caught wind of that loud pack and decided to bring in the Lanier Regional Drug Task Force to get a search warrant. The search turned up approximately 2.8 pounds of tree and 2 jars of THC wax. That concentrated stuff that's classified as a Schedule I controlled substance under Georgia law. So let's break this down. Homegirl gets her house violated, her family gets traumatized, and somehow she's the one who ends up in cuffs. That's some backwards logic right there. On July 22nd, 2025, Glo did the stand-up thing and turned herself into Forsyth County authorities, getting booked on 2 felony charges: possession of marijuana and possession of a Schedule I controlled substance. She got out the same day after posting a $22,260 bond, but the damage to her rep was already done. Glo hopped on X to express her frustration. Long story short, my house gets home invaded and I'm the only one that gets arrested. So that's T. Her full post broke it down. Crazy. My house got home invaded Saturday while I was in Indianapolis performing for the WNBA All-Star Game, and instead of focusing on finding the suspects, they focus on some cannabis. But while Glo was dealing with being victimized twice, first by the burglars, then by the system, JT was lurking in the shadows, waiting for the perfect moment to slide. And what happened next is being called one of the most psychologically devastating moves in hip-hop history. Recent developments in July 2025 brought some explosive allegations that completely destroyed any illusion of peace between these two. According to multiple sources, Glo had allegedly been plotting to have JT jumped during a Memphis show, possibly timing it with JT's beef with Sukihana to throw people off the scent. The plan reportedly got exposed when Gloss Up, Glo's former homegirl and fellow Memphis rapper, snitched to JT and showed her the group chats as proof. Gloss Up, who was signed to Quality Control at the time, allegedly shared the information with JT since they were label mates, leading to a FaceTime confrontation between JT and Glo where the hired muscle reportedly backed out. This betrayal cut deeper than any public diss could, turning what had been a professional rivalry into something way more personal and dangerous. When news of Glo's arrest dropped, JT saw her opportunity for the perfect revenge. Instead of making public statements or social media posts, she chose a more personal and psychologically devastating approach. According to to multiple sources close to both camps, JT recorded a video message specifically for Glo, a chilling piece of content that would never see public social media but would be delivered directly to its target through intermediaries. The video, described by those who peeped it, showed JT in a relaxed setting, speaking directly to the camera with the cold confidence of someone who had been waiting for this exact moment. The message was reportedly much longer and more specific than her public live stream, addressing Glo's current legal troubles with a mixture of fake sympathy and barely concealed satisfaction. Sources describe JT as systematically breaking down Glo's recent claims about police priorities and victim status, suggesting that someone who allegedly planned violent attacks on other women deserved whatever legal consequences came their way. But the video wasn't just about celebrating Glo's misfortune. It was about addressing the alleged jump plot directly, expressing her disappointment and anger at discovering that someone she had publicly made peace with had been plotting violence against her behind the scenes. The psychological impact of receiving such a message while dealing with serious felony charges cannot be understated. Facing potential prison time, dealing with the trauma of having her house violated, and watching her career hang in the balance, the last thing Glo needed was a psychological attack from an old enemy. But in the ruthless world of hip-hop, vulnerability is often seen as an opportunity rather than a reason for mercy. The timing of the video's delivery was particularly cruel, arriving when Glo was at her most vulnerable. The video's existence became an open secret within hip-hop circles, with various industry insiders and social media personalities alluding to its contents without explicitly describing what JT had said. The mystery surrounding its exact contents only added to its psychological impact, creating a situation where Glo knew that damaging information about her was circulating but couldn't control the narrative around it. Friends and associates of both women reported that the video had achieved its intended effect. Glo, already dealing with immense stress from her legal situation, was reportedly shaken by the video's contents and the realization that her past actions had created an enemy who was willing to strike when she was at her lowest point. This wasn't an isolated incident either. Glo had previous legal troubles, including a DUI arrest in April 2024 in Georgia after getting pulled over around 4 a.m. for making an illegal U-turn at a red light. She failed multiple field sobriety tests and caught charges for DUI, possession of marijuana, and an open container violation. The pattern that was emerging painted a picture of a young woman whose success had maybe outpaced her street smarts. The broader implications of this incident go way beyond just the personal rivalry between two artists. It highlights the dangerous intersection of street credibility and mainstream success in hip-hop, where artists often find themselves trapped between the authentic personas that made them famous and the legal and professional responsibilities that come with stardom. As Glo continues to fight her legal battles and try to salvage her career, the chilling video from JT serves as a reminder that in hip-hop, yesterday's allies can become tomorrow's enemies, and that success often comes with a target painted squarely on your back. The young woman who rose from boosting CDs in Memphis to Grammy nominations now faces a future where her past decisions, both legal and personal, threaten to destroy everything she worked so hard to build. The story continues to evolve, with both women maintaining their public positions while privately dealing with the fallout from years of accumulated resentment and betrayal. As of July 29, 2025, just one day after Glo's 26th birthday, the case remains active, the video remains a psychological weapon, and the future remains uncertain for one of hip-hop's most promising but troubled stars. Click on one of the cards on your screen to see more videos like this.